Good evening, YouTube. I'm Zachary Fowler, and this is episode 2 of our creator course here on Fowler's Making Mischief: How to Start a New YouTube Channel or Fix a Bad One. That's not really a fair thing to say. It's just a part of the title. This is not necessarily a bad one. There's just one that you haven't optimized it. Maybe you can do more, and the more you learn, the better your things get. Just like anything else, just like when we're a kid, you don't ride a bike that first day, or maybe some of you do, but you know what I mean. It takes time, and to learn, to create, to build up to it. Let me know you're here in the comments, so I'm not just talking to myself. And well, if I am, then the rest of you can watch it later in the rerun. So I got a couple things for you. I thought we would talk about the kind of like the fundamentals of starting. We're not going to get into like I'm not going to screen share and open up like how to literally build out your page and things like that. I'll talk about what's best for picking for what order to do things in, basically, and who else to listen to when you're trying to find out those answers besides me, because I'm not going to be able to answer all the technical stuff for you. When you go to set up a YouTube channel, you'll realize that there are certain things that are a little bit obnoxious, and certain things you might actually miss, which could optimize your chances at doing a better job. We got into a little bit of that before, but we're going to try, as each one of these classes go along, narrow the focus down. So we'll talk for, I don't know, maybe this time only like 15 minutes. There was a lot of questions last time I didn't get to, and then we will get into doing some questions and channel reviews. I have a couple channels open here. I have the Rocky Mountain Wanderer, Guitar Slinger's Kitchen, and Common Family Survival, and Drew and Josie's Adventures all set up. And we'll look at those channels for you guys and give you some tips and tricks and stuff like that. If you did set up your channel and maybe, Rocky Mountain Wanderer, I don't know, if you guys don't want me looking at it and sharing it with you, I guess you could say something, but it might be too late because I might have already said something if you're not here right now. So, but I'm always kind, right? So I don't think you got much to worry about. My phone keeps blowing up. What is it about when you want to do something that tons of people keep... Okay, well, it wasn't on. If it was important, they'll get back to me, right? I'm psyched. I figured out how to set up the USR as my webcam, so it looks a lot better than the first one. I just love better footage, and it doesn't hurt you either. So if you're setting up a YouTube channel, maybe that's the first thing you're going to want to think about is what are you going to film with? What are you going to film with? And there's no reason that you can't film with the latest smartphone. The Samsung Galaxy 10 Plus Note or whatever is what I have here. But I know a ton of people that have millions of views and built their entire channels on just filming with, I don't know, phones from 4 years ago, up, and they now just recently finally bought DSLRs and stuff. I use my DSLR nonstop to film these, and a GoPro Hero 8, always having the latest gadgets and gizmos, and the Mavic Pro, and I used originally the 80D. And Greg's channel is all filmed, and cover photos are all taken from the camcorder, the Canon XA11 actually. And so it's the camcorders are really nice, because if you're just going to be a one camera person, your phone or the camcorder are they're really sweet. The phone, because you can do the slow-mos. If you have, probably the last 3 versions of phones all have slow-mos, whether it's Apple or Samsung, even the Pixel, stuff like that. And you can do some beautiful stuff on them. And they actually have secondary apps that you can get for your phones, so that you can like adjust the lighting and stuff like that and control that, because sometimes in auto it'll end up a little bit blown out. But if you're going to do a phone, I recommend highly that you get a camera bracket for it that holds the phone, and allows you to mount a mic onto it and at least get like the cheaper Rode mic, or Amazon has one that has high stars for a generic mic that's just like a Rode mic, a shotgun mic, and that'll make a huge difference. It'll like double your sound quality, because even if you have bad footage, if your sound is clean, that's how all those spoof videos on Facebook and things like that get away with what they do. Is like they, like they're fake, but they look fake. They look so real, but like filmed really badly. Like even the junkiest phone can film something good. So why would it be? Why do I have a fly in here? Why would it be bad? And because they have clean sound, so you're drawn into the story more, and that's the same thing with your YouTube. So the phone is always the easiest option. Second, if you just got one camera, would probably be my recommendation would be a GoPro. The 7 is a nice GoPro. It is good. The front of it sometimes gets water in it, and so you have to make like you have to buy those little dehumidifier things, and you cut a little strip of that and you stick that down inside the camera and inside the lens piece that pops off. You don't know that it pops off until you look somewhere on the internet and fall deep down a rabbit hole about how to fix your camera for having moisture inside. But the GoPro is good, and if you can with a GoPro and you're filming for that is your only camera, the same thing. Especially having the 7, you could take off open it up like one of the little side doors, and you can put the mic adapter onto it and have a mic, and then you can change the GoPro setting. Instead of just 4K 60 frames per second, you could, for vlogging or something like that, you would change it to maybe slightly narrower so it's not so fish-eyed, and make it like 30 frames per second. That would use up a lot less of your SD card, and unless you're doing action stuff, you don't need the 60 frames per second. And it looks a lot cleaner, and it takes up a lot less space on YouTube. So, and that way you can, we'll get into that as we do on the channel evaluations. I noticed one of you guys uses a GoPro for your thing, and your uploads are at 60 frames per second, and that makes it hard for some people to watch, so you might be losing views. So, yeah, we'll get into that more. So, cameras, and then if you notice on Greg's channel, we got millions of views. It is a $2,000 camera, but it is a camcorder as opposed to a DSLR. And the beauty of that one camera is the simplicity for Greg of being able to zoom in on wildlife and get that B-roll, get that nature moments. And having those nature moments and things are just, they're so special. It draws you into the photo. And so B-roll is a very important thing, and we'll get into that when we get into the B-roll episode, because I feel like as I look at a lot of your guys' channels, that's the one thing that one of the biggest things you're missing that could draw your viewers in is B-roll. And B-roll, shortly, just in the short answer, is some clips that are like separate from everything. So if you're doing a gear review, B-roll would be the close-up on the gear. Besides just you and your hands showing it to the camera, it would be a separate set of footage, like maybe you draped over log and you filmed slowly panning around it. And then, and you added that over top of your talking so your clips aren't too long. And that'll have to be another episode. How long should each of my clips be? Because that makes a big difference holding attention span. Sadly, a lot of people's attention spans very short. But those are future episodes. And make a huge difference in maybe not like clicks per impressions and getting a lot of views right away, but how many people keep coming back and watching your videos. Because the better your videos are, even if YouTube doesn't tell them about it because you failed to do a good thumbnail or title, they still keep coming back and you retain them as a viewer. So cameras, you can do it whatever you want. You want to stick away from, if you can help it, just constantly being a fisheye on the GoPro, or getting a camera with a wide angle lens and just being just wide the whole time. I would say that if you want to try your hand at a DSLR, you want a Canon Rebel or something like that, starting cheaply, or an 80D, or you spend the big bucks and get the USR, and that's a lot of money and a lot of investment. Whereas like the Rebels and all those other cameras that have been out for a while from GoPro and that from their former line of lenses, you can get nice lenses for fairly cheap on Amazon, good condition used lenses, stuff like that, and learn your trade before you go and bankrupt yourself. If you have the questions, don't worry, we will get to them, and I'll even get to all the questions. We'll open it up and check the tabs from last week and everything like that for those of you that are just joining us. We haven't gotten too far, so you can always rewatch the beginning of this. And so cameras, we've kind of gone over that. Cameras don't matter and nearly as much as some people like to think. They're important, but if you look at the WOODSMEN's channel, he has a video out about how he went and filmed his first, 3/4 of his YouTube career with a $100-and-something camera. All of his thumbnails were just stills from him, like, holding himself in place in front of the camera. So if you're a just GoPro person, that's a great way to get a good shot for your cover photo. Intentionally try to position yourself. Don't just take a screenshot. If any of you can, don't just take screenshots. Use your cameras or your phones. I have a lot of videos that have 1 million views that was just, I put my phone up and I had it on the mode with the Samsung Galaxy. The last 3 updates of their new phones have the ability, you can say smile and it takes a picture. And that was just in selfie mode. So it's even better if you have it on, and always film if you can. Always film on this side of the camera with the lenses on the back, because they're just light years above the ones on the front that are in selfie mode. It's nice to be able to see yourself and if things are in focus, but if you're going to film with a camera, either you need to get somebody to help you or, shading myself here, or learn how to film by not seeing yourself, and you'll get like twice the image. So cameras aside, starting a channel is something you want to do intentionally. And if you already have a channel, it would maybe even behoove you to take a break and focus on doing some upgrades and then coming back at it and filming some stuff. For somebody who's starting a brand new channel, I would say your best thing you could do would be to film, 3 months worth of content and then work all of your highlights into your channel trailer and have at least your first, 2 months of content all planned out, maybe, and so that it played out in a nice series. And the reason I say that is because of the evidence of the way it panned out with Greg's channel, and that was my theory all along, that if we built something new and it was intentional and everything was prepared ahead of time and we released things on a consistent basis, the channel intro came out, and then a week later we started dropping episodes consistently. We got a extreme view acceleration. Now granted, I did share his channel and things, but to a degree his channel has left me behind, and the speed in which it gets views consistently on things, because we did the right stuff there. So there's people all the time now that are coming over and they're finding me because of Greg's channel, not finding Greg's channel because of me. And you can have that too if you, intentionally go about either a change on your channel or building up your content and then being able to release it at a consistent basis. Now that Greg and I are done with the 30-day survival challenge and all the episodes are out and he's been filming more stuff, as much as possible we try to stick to 1 episode every Friday. Now, sure, the more episodes you put out, the more view time you'll get and the more view acceleration you'll get, but it's not a pace that's reasonable. So starting a new channel, as you build the channel, I wouldn't either film a bunch for 3 or 4 months, so that way you're not worried about the editing, and then go and edit for a month or so and have your channel trailer ready, have a teaser of all the highlights of all the stuff that you did. This is a perfect time of year for that. Like, go and film all the rest of the summer. Don't worry about getting views in your videos, because when you first start out, you might not get that many views in the first place. But if you put this all together and you release it like as you begin your channel, almost like it's a season of Alone or a season of a TV show, and you're consistent and you say what you're going to do, And I think that's one of the reasons why I struggle the most is I got so much going on. I'm not always consistent about my uploads. And so it's like I kind of like, because people don't know if they're going to find something there when they show up for it. And then they get tired of looking. And then finally YouTube does tell them about it. And it's not something they're super keen on. And they've kind of moved on. And I missed my window there. But that's that's neither here nor there. But so we're talking planning out ahead of time and using what you learned, from using everything you have to build a channel and then launch it intentionally is probably the best thing you could probably ever do. And if you want to get somewhere. And then even after that, if you were only able to, so maybe initially you have 10 videos and you can release 2 a week. You look up the prime time. If you've already had a channel, you look at maybe when you've been getting your most views already, and you just start, you post, that's when you're going to do it, and you start dropping them. Now, before we even get to that, though, before you even get to that, you have to either pick a name or you've picked a name. And we talked about channel authority, and we're going to talk about that until you're sick of hearing about it, because that is like one of the most important things you could have when you're building your channel, when you're working on your channel, and when you're trying to pick a new video idea for your channel, is intentionality. You can have a hobby of it, of just making stuff when you feel like it, whenever you feel like it, and you're going to struggle like I do at times. Not that I'm struggling, but I'm struggling for views at times because I'm all over the place. I'm having one adventure here that's, all survival, and then I'm over here shooting a slingshot, and then I'm over here diving for fishing lures. And those are, YouTube considers those to be 3 separate things. And to have a channel that grows quickly, strongly, and consistently, you want narrow focus, and narrow focus gives you channel authority. So when you're setting up your name of your channel, you want to think about that. Like, you want it to be representative of everything that's in your videos. The more that your channel title, without saying, like, literally putting the name of your channel in the thing, in the title of each of your videos, the more that that can match your tags on your channel, and the tags in your videos, and the titles in your videos, the more that those things are all the same or in the same genre, the more you'll build channel authority based on the consistency that YouTube sees. So I always think of it as a brownies points that they give you as you're going along. You're like continuing to, the more boxes that you check, they're like, ooh, there's another brownie point for him. You build that channel authority, and you become the authority on that subject. And so if you're the authority on a subject, YouTube is going to share your video, because they want people to stay on the platform longer. So you need to build that channel authority and become that authority on the subject that you're making your videos about. Let's say, for instance, I just have to keep going back to it, Ovens Rocky Mountain Bushcraft. The entire name was a strategic move to make sure that it gets the most amount of views possible on every video, just the title even. And we took a little bit of time. Well, I don't know, we talked about it during the whole 30-day survival challenge till I came up with Ovens Rocky Mountain Bushcraft. So we got Ovens because people know him from Alone. Rocky Mountain because that just says adventure, beautiful, wild. It just, that says adventure. And there'll be all kinds of like things that we could key that to in the titles of the video. Like we had Rocky Mountain Lobster, which was the Burbot video. And so it's like they lock right in together. All these things, the more that they mesh together, the more you build that channel authority. Like you're a bunch of old ladies, thinking of it like a bunch of old ladies building a quilt. If one old lady's sewing a piece over here that just can't go back and be attached to this other one, it's not going to help you build that full quilt for your channel, that quilt of your channel, which is the entirety of your work that YouTube sees and says this is consistent. This is what we're going to share with people, when they're looking for something, and then Bushcraft in Ovens Rocky Mountain Bushcraft, the title Bushcraft. So like as much as possible, if we put Bushcraft in the title, I don't think we've put Bushcraft in the title of anything, and it hasn't gotten over 100,000 views, just because it's part of his title, it's part of his tags, and his channel tags. For stuff like that, I'm going to share with you later on the people that I'm talking, that I've listened to and watched videos to, and I still do. When they pop up and there's one that sounds like something new to me, I watch that when I'm running on my treadmill. I like to run on the treadmill so I can do my homework, actually. Mostly I watch, I don't even watch survival stuff except for like the WOODSMEN and Ace, or a couple of friends here and there. Like I'll watch their better ones that are something like that look like they're taking off, where I'm really curious about what they were up to. So the rest of the time, I'm always just watching videos about the YouTube algorithm. And that's the other thing. If you're going to build a channel and you're going to do it, you can just be fun and have fun with it. But I don't think that's not why you're here, right? You're not here to just randomly experiment. You're here to learn something. And if you're going to learn something here, you need to take that and keep going on with it. When you hear stuff from me and you pick some of these people to follow, subscribe to their channels, and you see it popping up and they're talking about thumbnails, don't say, well, I already learned that from Fowler. Listen, watch them, because there's always new updates with the algorithm, and they may have more clever thing that's more applicable to you than even anything that I said, or something that brings your knowledge of how to build that channel authority. So, the title, as much as possible, matching your subject. Don't go out of your way and ruin it, because there's also the same thing with the title of your videos. It's important to have those keywords. So putting anything like, episode 1, or like if you're going to vlog, don't put so-and-so's vlog in the title. It's just it's a wasted word. There's so many. It's already used a million times. You want to use a word that's, maybe is already used a million times, but something that means something. It means something to you, and it reads smoothly. Nobody wants to read something choppy, like you're trying to keyframe for it. There's a ton of channels out there, and that are getting lots of views, and they're doing well, and they've all piggybacked on primitive survival. And so they're like, they go like one or two words difference, like survival the primitive way, and so they're doing really, really well because it's really clever. And so they can get away with it. So it doesn't matter that it's an overused word then, but something like vlog that doesn't really mean that much, and may not even mean anything to a certain generation that is on YouTube, and they just goes right over their head. Something that tells your story as much as possible. I keep seeing out of the corner of my eye our first channel that we're going to look at, Rocky Mountain Wanderer, and it's like that reads so well, and it's so smooth, and unfortunately it's like right on the cusp of like super awesome, and like, but it feels like it's missing something, because it doesn't really, it tells me it's an adventure channel, actually, and so there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. He doesn't have a lot going that he's done there. Are you in here, Rocky Mountain Wanderer? But I don't see him. So if he's watching on the replay, let me know if that was like just your channel for messing around with, or if you want to do something with that. Because it's like if you're gonna do something more, Wanderer is great. But I think a search term would probably be Rocky Mountain Adventurer, or Adventurer. No, that's not. But you know what I mean. And that would, because adventure could be something you could put in your title, and it would be something that's searchable. So as you're building your YouTube channel and you're trying to build your, there's also places you can search for viability too. With your tags and your titles. Having TubeBuddy on your YouTube channel, if you already have one, that could be very helpful to you for being able to lock in that title and the titles of all your videos, so that they match up with the most searchable terms. And so we talked about title, doing some content. As we get into it, we'll talk about content and how to go about your content. So bear with me. I know that there's a lot to talk about, and this will pretty much go on indefinitely, and you could come on and we could end up talking about new stuff and answering your questions and listening to all kinds of new stuff, like all the new things that I've learned and things that you guys learn. So bear with me that if we don't get to everything you want to learn in one or two classes here, because there's a lot to it. TubeBuddy does have, I believe, a free version. I'm not sure how far it goes with that whole keywords and searchability. There is just a plain old Google search keywords thing. I can't remember the name of it. If somebody knows, leave it in the comments. And that you could use that does the same thing as TubeBuddy, but it tells you the searchability of those terms, if it's very searchable, very high search, and very high traffic, because that's what you want to look for. If you have the channel authority, you can get away with very searchable and very high traffic. Like survival, I can get away with and get a video to rank high for survival, just for the one word sometimes, because I have channel authority on that. As my views have gone down, my channel authority has kind of gone down a bit right now, and I probably wouldn't rank nearly as high, and so they'll rank me maybe high in survival for a day or two, and then if the video doesn't take off, it doesn't go very far. So unless I do the 30-day survival challenge basically right now, or a survival challenge, and it's a series that starts to do well, it's like I don't end up ranked very high in the whole survival stuff. And so channel, videos, intentionality, and if you have a channel already, don't fret. And I would say, if it's not doing great or you're not too happy with it, don't let being obsessed about knocking out videos ruin your chance to turn your content into something a lot better. I think a lot of people get, and I've done it, like at the beginning, like I gotta get a video out, and I make each one as awesome as possible, but I'm spending so much time doing that I never went out and did the 87 days series, like boom, right in a row. So it took me weeks and weeks and weeks, a whole summer to build my shelter up there during the 87 days series. Now, if I had just gone out and filmed that for 3 weeks, going out there every other day, every day, whatever it took, instead of like once a week, and then 2 weeks later I got to go again and stuff, because I was working on some other miniature video in the between, and I had stayed with that narrow focus and done the 87 days series, I might have gotten, as many views as I did during the Texas series, a year later, right then on the 87 days series, because of that narrow focus. And because of being able to drop them at a consistent rate, and because of the videos that I put in between the 87 days, some of them were vlogs, some of them were miniature things, just unique things, and some of them were slingshot videos, and it kind of made the whole viewing thing into a roller coaster. Whereas if you did a going out, building a shelter, if that's your thing, or say, like with thinking about the other guys here, with the RV one, it's like going and prepping for getting a brand new RV, pimping out, for lack of a better word, you completely pimping out your RV, filming all of this content, and then taking it and going back to your studio and releasing it in a series that's coming out like that on like clockwork for a little bit of a while, maybe. So if you've already got a channel, I would consider looking into that. Like, maybe keep making videos because it's fun and you don't want to leave that behind for now, but plan an intentional series of some sort. Don't worry about losing views or viewers on your channel and just walk away from it for a little bit. Say, hey guys, I got something I'm working on, and then go out and film. Even if you're working full-time at a job, you could do that. You could go and work for, take your vacation to film nonstop or something for 1 week. If it's a family vlog thing, you take them on a family vlog thing and you do that adventure, you film the whole thing, and then you come back and you put it all together into episodes, maybe 2 episodes a week. One's a full big one, of almost the whole day, except for one little segment of it, which was a unique build or something, and then you put that out separately and you drop those on a consistent basis and it goes somewhere. And if you can be consistent with just, every Saturday you have to go work on building a shelter or something like that, or your channel, I'm looking at Rocky Mountain Wanderer still because his tab's still open on the, it's like, and he's got 3 snowboarding and then 2 working on a little wire motor thing. So, it's like if that was your thing is snowboarding, so you're going out every weekend and you make 1 good snowboard video each week, there's nothing wrong with that as well. And watch others to be inspired. Watch others and stop watching just like getting carried away with just watching. Watch some to enjoy it and watch some intentionally, looking at the angles. What are they doing? And noticing, how long are these clips? How long? I almost never, you may not notice, but like there's hardly ever a time where my clips are more than 4 seconds long. They're literally, it's like 4 seconds and then it's another angle or further on down the line. And if it is the same angle and still the same one, then there's something in between there that's really kind of as epic as possible, or it's in a fast forward mode or something. So it means that in the end, almost all of my videos of the 30-day survival challenge, for instance, were 5 to 6 hours of footage at a time that was turned down to a 30-minute episode, so that way it progressed the story, and each of those clips was really like I say, like only 4 seconds long, and like maybe some of the most special ones were like 8 seconds long. I'm not saying get all crazy and just get all super choppy. It's something you got to learn to film to and edit to too, because if it story jumps too much, it has too many holes, and you'll lose people that way too. So then that's where we get into the B-roll, and and if you're gonna film a gear review and it's just you and your hands and doing stuff, one of our guys here is a gear reviewer, and we're gonna talk about some things we could up his game when we get to his channel, which is already looking pretty good anyway, but we'll talk about some things I thought of that will help your game. Common Family Survival, and there's some review stuff going on here. I'm not sure if, it looks like all of it is gear review. I watched 2 of the videos, and they were about a box review and some other stuff. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's answer some of your questions. Well, actually, let me flip it to the other screen first. And like that. And so these are right here some of the guys that I have watched over the years to help with figuring out how to do YouTube. So you can see he's pretty consistent in his views right here, because this is TubeBuddy showing they're doing a lot better than I am right now with their consistency of their views. Mine did just go down by like 2 million recently. I don't know how I just dropped off the face of the earth, but whatever. So like I peak and go up a lot. He was up a lot higher recently too, but they're also a channel of 1 million. And they have, you can see with this is what we were talking about earlier, their intentionality. Think media. So it's not the most like includable in every single one of your titles, but it rolls off the tongue, and it's about what you're thinking about: making media, making, working with media, filming, all that stuff. It says exactly what the channel's about, and that's what you want your title about. You don't want any vagueness. They make mostly, it's been a lot of camera stuff that he makes his videos about, but there'll also be guests and talk about how they grew their channel to 1 million subscribers in 5 months, and some people are just blessed that way. But if you watch any of those things, you'll see exactly what I was telling you about. It was intentionality and logging the consistent time and footage, and a lot of times it's like they put it all together and they were doing something for a couple years, and then once they found their super narrow focus and stuck with that, they built that channel authority on that, and their channel was just like zoop, right through the roof. So they do a lot on cameras, and they'd be very helpful too if you guys are trying to buy new cameras. They're the ones that if you look up like, oh, I'm thinking about that new Canon that came out, the point and shoot, as an option, this is, you want to, when you see their video pop up and talk about it, Watch their videos on it. They're very intelligent. And then there's Nick Nyman. He's not as big as those guys, but he is a very good, basically a how-to for YouTube. He's got videos on pretty much every subject. So if you see him pop up, he's very concise and help get you to the point of what it's all about. You know, if you're like trying to set up a live stream and you want to do it with something a little bit better, get like OBS. That's how I actually figured out how to do these live streams for you guys and do OBS. And he went with, that's kind of another theory of how to do it, is just go straight your name. You know, it doesn't say that he's media or YouTube video tips, except for in his cover photo here, it says YouTube video tips. But the rest of the time, it's like he's keying just on his name. So if your channel is built around your character, then you can do that, and that'll work for you. Peter McKinnon, I mean, he's just, everything he does is just gold. You know, he's got the Midas touch. He just makes the most beautiful stuff. His stories, his little adventures. This is a great one. I put this in here to encourage you to watch this as something to watch to get ideas of how to film. Don't get discouraged when you watch him. I sometimes get a little discouraged when I watch him because it's just so beautiful, and I'm like, I can't do that. You don't have to do that. Just do you, and do the best you can do, and it's great. It doesn't. There's a lot of people that'll love it. You know, you all have subscribers of, you know, when I've looked at your channels, and so don't worry about it. But get inspired by watching this. You know, he'll make you want to think about, you know, filming at different angles. Some of them he exposes and shares exactly how he does the things with the filming, and other ones are just fun or, you know, some of them are actually tips. You know, like these cheap tips. And you start adding stuff like that into your videos each time. You add something a little bit new because you've learned it, and it'll change the way people see your videos. You know, they'll be like, wow, how'd you do that? That was a magical little scene. I think the knife trick adds a little bit of a blur at a certain portion and like a little flare or something. And you can do that with a fishing line across the middle of your lens. It does neat things like that too. You can get carried away. It doesn't even have to be a DSLR for a lot of the tricks too. So he's a great one to watch for inspiration. And then this is a must-have on your subscriber list as you're going to learn about YouTube, is Daryl Eves, and he is the algorithm. He'll talk about what you need to do. His videos will do interviews with people that have already made it and what it was that they did that caused them to make it, as well as how to best titles, thumbnails, things like that, best practices on YouTube. You know, why is YouTube, you know, not sharing my video, things like that. And he'll expose all that stuff for you. Because if you're going to get into this, you got to, you know, you can just be happy with what you're going to get and do your best. But if you really want to make something of it, you kind of have to make it a hobby of watching to learn more about it on a consistent basis. The first year I did YouTube, I listened and watched these every day when I ran and did stuff. And that's why I went from like 300 subscribers to 3,000 right after alone. But then from there, it was like all that TV stuff just dropped off the face of the earth. And I was able to build my entire channel to a business within the rest of the year. So it was like the first 3 months, maybe I got some help because of people saw me on TV. But then even then, they fell away and stopped watching because they saw me on TV and I wasn't doing that TV stuff. I was vlogging. But we can get into that in other episodes. That's your narrow focus thing. I didn't keep a narrow focus and I lost some retention there. So we got some questions from you guys. Anybody got some questions? Leave a double question mark. I'm going to open up the tab from before and go to the community post. And I saw there were some questions there that we didn't get to last week. So, what is the most important thing to remember when filming for a video? Come up with content and editing. most important thing to remember while filming, that's going to firstly just be have fun. That's from Backcountry Runaway. Because if you're having fun, and even if you do a poor job with a shaky camera at times and you edit it to the best of your ability, people are going to see that and people get addicted to you having fun. It's just, it's contagious, right? Like yawning is contagious. Smiling can be contagious. What you're throwing out is what you're going to bring out of people, kind of thing. Not sure if I'll be able to make it. Editing software. I use Final Cut Pro, iMovie, great software, and probably the cheapest solution that has the best help out there so that you can learn how to do really unique things would be like Filmora. Yeah. You can get a free version of that, and it has a watermark on it, and then pay the like $45 or $50, get rid of the watermark. At least I hope that's what it is. And stuff like that. And that one's been around for a little while too, so it might even have like an advanced version that you can upgrade to if you start with that, and then you don't even have to learn something new. If you do get in a Mac though, and you work with Macs, you'll be able to go iMovie and then upgrade to Final Cut Pro someday with almost zero difference. That's not zero difference, but you can edit on your phones and tablets. Chris Thorne has built his whole channel with all the stuff that he's been doing over the years. He was with me in Texas there with a phone and editing on his phone. Personally, I think that is the most miserable thing you could possibly do. Like unless you're just editing like fun little family videos on your phone for Facebook. Because when I was with him, before we went out and when we got back, he was just nonstop on his phone because he's got it with him all the time. So it was just like, just ignore everybody else all the time. It's like people that use their phones sometimes are bad enough as it is. You don't want to be like that. Literally, that'll be probably the end of your marriage or relationship, because nobody wants to sit around and listen to you trimming a clip. That's like a pro tip right there. Make sure you find separate space and separate time. Because when you're watching a clip over and over that you find hilarious, that you're so funny, that to the other people hearing you say that, whatever piece of that clip is, again, while you're trying to find just the right punctuation for your joke and timing, is like fingernails on a chalkboard to them. Not everybody is in love with you as you are with yourself. I'd say I learned that the hard way, but it wasn't. It wasn't that, but let's see. I'll answer one of these questions over here from you guys. Were you afraid of the showing your face for the first time? Well, showing my face was on the TV show, and it was super pudgy, and even now I'm getting back to being like way more weight than I wanted to be. This lockdown thing is, I haven't been as fastidious as possible. I run 3 miles a day, but like if I eat carbs, it just goes right to the hips, the old hips. And so, you just got to learn how to love yourself, and it doesn't matter what you look like, and because God loves you the way you are. He knew, you're, and if everybody else doesn't, then they can go jump off a cliff, right? So don't worry about showing your face. And if people make negative comments, then delete them, ignore them, block them. You can permanently use YouTube. Use those guys I was telling you about. Look up how to permanently block people and just put them on the list and move on with your life. Don't let it get to you. You can't. You got to let it like duck, with water rolling off the back there. I got a good video on that, like how to deal with haters. Check that out. I am a member of my personal account. I plan on making an account for a channel specifically if I want you to check out my channel once it's uploaded. And should I swap the members to the... No, you can just tell me if you make another channel and you're already, don't worry about it. You can just tell me what your channel is, and we'll look it up. He's asking, because he's signed on with this one. This is his personal account. So it's the same thing for you guys. keep an eye on those community posts so you can leave your comments or your questions. Try to leave it just to the questions as we grow. If you leave it to your questions and you guys aren't leaving comments, you won't clog it up for your own self when you want to ask a question later. If you're not able to make it to the, and then you're able to leave that in the community post or in the video before this, or like today's video at the end. If you came in and you watched this late, leave a question that you have for me to look at in the next time we do this. What is the hardest or most concerning thing you deal with while planning your videos? So a lot of times it's half and half. Like, I fall in love with a video idea because I think it can make a good thumbnail and or story. And sometimes whenever I do it the other way around, because I'm like, there's something I wanted to do, but I don't really think about the thumbnail until it's all done. Like, I just really wanted to dive for lures, and I had a vision for that thumbnail, and it just didn't work out, and it didn't do anything. But I have a really good vision for the next one. I was thinking about doing a part 2, and I think the way that one plans out, because it'll be like a dive, catch, and cook, would be pretty cool. What is the hardest most? So it's just, if you can think of those people that all get millions of views in like 6 months and they're up to their first 1 million subscribers, they literally invent the title and the subject and thumbnail before they plan out their content, almost. Because it's like, what's the point of planning out content unless, for them at least, unless they think they're going to get 1 million views. And Greg's actually wicked good at that. If you look at him, his new one's coming out for subscribers or new joiners. It's going to be coming out Wednesday as a pre-release. His using a remote control battleship to catch fish. And so, like, he's starting to think very meticulously like a YouTuber, just the epic ideas. And a couple times he's asked me, like, is that a good idea? And I'm like, it's a good idea, but I think it should just be a good idea in the video. Or before, he was like, I was just going to put this in the video. I'm like, that should be the thumbnail of the video, And that's the whole story of the video. As long as you did it this way, and we can portray it this way, it's like, that's going to be the, that'll be the 1 million views, possibly. Don't feed the haters. Yes, don't get in comment wars with haters. Delete them, or just delete their single comment. Maybe you don't want to delete or block them if you don't have a lot of subscribers. You just delete their comment. If you don't have, it's not that much to keep up with. With the YouTube app on your phone, don't become addicted to it. But the YouTube Gear app, you can open up and you can see your channel analytics and stuff. And you can also answer all of the comments that are coming in order. So, and you can see your revenue and all that. So it's like, I'm trying to show it. It doesn't work so much with that camera, but there's a little gear app here, YouTube. You can find it in your like Android store or Apple store, and you can use that to view like all of your comments. And don't abuse it though. Spend time with your family when you're supposed to be with your family, and then when you do have time, you're sitting at the doctor's office, you flip it open, you can scan through and heart your comments that people. Don't be afraid to heart them, even if you think that's kind of weird. Hearts mean that they get a notification that you liked their comment, which might mean they come back and watch the second half of your video because they didn't watch it the first time, or just come back to reply to your answer to their question, So if you can, when you're small, the good thing is to, if somebody asks you a question, ask them an answer, but ask them a question back, or ask them something about their question. So they have to come back and watch the video again and reply to the comment, which gives you a second view. It's a little bit of a hack. What kind of light would you suggest for night recording? I have these right here. There's just little square lights, and they work pretty good. The LED ones, Amazon has them. I think I have them in my Amazon store, which is linked in the description below. And they're $70. You can get cheap versions of those. They won't maybe stay on as long. These ones stay on for like 5 hours at 20%. And depending on the camera you have, that's pretty decent. That's what we're working right now, is a 20% power, and you can change colors and stuff. which you don't really need unless it's a live stream. There's one called like LumaCube, which is great. It's got a little bit of a diffuser on it, and I mean that's more than enough to have like that mounted next to your GoPro for night spearfishing or something like that, or even just around the campfire. That's why I do still keep my other though Canon cameras with the night vision, because the OSR doesn't have that. Sometimes it's just kind of better if you can't night hunt with a flashlight, or not legally here at least. So a night vision thing is pretty unique, but a lot of people will pretty much just sign off when you get to night vision. They complain unendingly about the night vision clips because they like, oh, it's nighttime, it's time to sign off in your video. So that's kind of a little pro tip right there. If you can, film your videos and be done before dark and as little as possible around the campfire at night. That's good, and people do like that. But it also says if there's a campfire and it's at nighttime, that also tells people if your video is 30 minutes long and you're doing that 15 minutes in, something about that triggers things in people's brains, and they're like, he's done, and he finished the sentence, I think I've had enough, and they sign off on your video, What type of drone do you use? The Mavic Pro 2. The first one is okay, but the thing is it doesn't have as many sensors, so you're more likely to crash it. Mavic Pro 2 will crash if it's on active track mode, which is fun to use, and I've crashed it a couple times this week. What is the hardest and why do I keep reading things twice? Is the Gear app the same as YouTube Studio? It may be. I don't remember what it actually calls it here. Yep, YouTube Studio. That's the one. All right, so catfishing is great. Catfishing is great at night. Oh, I love catfish. Love it. Love catfish. All right, so we got a couple other questions here from last week. Let's see. People had asked, do you like audio on the GoPro? The GoPro audio, I actually bought the new GoPro 8 a while back, and then I bought the, which you got to be very careful with because you can't replace the lens on it. I don't like to use skins on things, so I try to be as protective as possible of it. But I run and gun, and I also have a higher budget, knowing that if something happens, I'm just going to send it in I'm going to sell it with a scratched lens and buy a brand new one. So you want to maybe get a good little case for it that with a little snap-on lid or something like an aftermarket one that you can flip over your lens to protect it when you're not using it or something, so it doesn't get scratched in your bag depending on how rough you are. But the audio, I actually like the audio out of the GoPro better, just plain because of the special new audio mic that you can buy for the new GoPro, which goes around it and improves the sound. It's just obnoxious because you have to undo everything, take everything apart just to put a new battery in. And so I was just like, I've almost given up using it, and I don't know if I'm going to bother to continue to use it. But I love the GoPro. If you get into like kayaking and fishing, and that's just going to be what your channel's all about, is kayaking adventures, you're probably going to want two. You're going to want one on your chest and one on the front of your boat, and then you'll be recording those, and you clap sync them at the beginning, and then when you go into the edit, you're able to switch back and forth. And don't forget to utilize the GoPro. You got a GoPro, there's so much you can do with it if you have a GoPro. You can, drop it at the bottom of a little pool of water and step over it. You can put it half in and out of the water if you buy a little bubble unit, or if you're holding it in completely still water, and you can get like some minnows swimming down here and then you fishing up here if somebody's able to hold it for you. If you get a little bubble that's like $14 and goes on the outside of it, that pushes the water further from the lens, and you can get that beautiful half and half photo. I've just purchased one, and I haven't had but like a chance to use like 1 or 2 seconds of that in clips because it was choppy and it didn't look that great. But I mean, there's so much stuff you can do unique with the GoPro, so don't just film with it. Utilize that whole GoPro ability. If you look at my 10 fun things to do while you're stuck at home, I think, was it that one? No, it was a slingshot video I did for a slingshot course. I start by throwing up a can into the air, but I used a GoPro on the end of the stick, and so the GoPro goes up, and I draw at the GoPro as if it's the can looking down at me, and then I fire, and it switches back to another angle, and it shows the can go flying off, and it makes the whole beginning of that video just like, oh, I gotta watch this. It's so unique. It looks so professional, and it was the most simple thing to do. It was a $10 8-foot selfie stick and a GoPro. I've also done that in the past too with the GoPro, running it down a zip line. You can set up a little zip line and just build a couple like clothesline pulleys and send it down there. Maybe a little counterweight helps at times so it balances and doesn't wobble back and forth. And if your line's good and tight, and that's like, I built a setup like that with a Kevlar line, and it's like you can replicate drone stuff by having like a $10 Kevlar line that doesn't stretch, because that's what you need, something that doesn't stretch, and a little like clothesline pulleys on a block of wood with the GoPro, mounted below it, and you could have it go through the woods and panning through the woods, as you're walking along or something, just to get that first, 20 seconds of your video as epic as possible kind of thing at times. And that's one of my theories when we talk about video layout is having that first 5 to 10 seconds of the, your video being as epic as possible. Even if the rest of your video is slow paced and, romantic, and you're just talking while you're fishing and it's just your hands catching fish and putting them back and stuff. It's like, if you can have that first 20 seconds as epic as possible, it makes a big, big difference. Let's see. Other questions. I feel like somebody asked a question and I'm not able to find it here. Or maybe they just asked it again. Oh, do you have to have a license to have a drone? You do not have to have a license. If you were to do something illegal with the drone, which that's the nice thing about the Mavic Pro 2, it literally won't let you fly in a no-fly zone, so it's hard to do something illegal. But your drone is linked to everything, so all your flights are logged. So if your drone does crash into the side of an airfield and they find it, they will be able to, they should be able to. I don't even think you can set that thing up without registering it and stuff. You'd be hard pressed to do it. They'd be able to backtrack it to you and to exactly, that you flew it intentionally into a no-fly zone, assuming you managed to somehow hack your drone and let it do that, because it doesn't want to. You don't. In Canada, you need like a pilot's license to fly a drone, and good luck flying one without it. It's like, as long as you're being meek and not doing anything insane or illegal, flying over people is illegal. Learn how to fly a drone and what's safe about it. There's Peter McKinnon talks about that a bit, and some of the others about and Casey Neistat, the legalities of flying a drone and stuff. That'll put the fear of God into you and bring you some more caution about what you should and shouldn't do. Kit Zero. I feel like his question was the one I wasn't able to find. What Mavic Pro? So there is a new Mavic Mini that's out. So if you're looking at a first drone, that might be the better drone. It's a better footage and things like that. Doesn't have quite as many sensors, but I think it is also like half of the price. So, I mean, for a start, you're getting better footage. You just got to be a little more cautious. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good one. Let me see what we got for questions here. Better ask your wife about flying a drone in the kitchen. That's another thing. It's hard to fly a drone inside. You have to like turn off the sensors and go into the apps. I did a really cool one a couple weeks back where I was in my hammock and talking about failures, and I flew the drone all the way up, from way up high all the way down, and turned the sensors off and off into the woods. And still, it was like one of the sensors somewhere was on. And maybe it wasn't the sensors that stopped me from hitting things, but like the sensor that tries to make you so you stay the certain height above the ground at the very least or something. Because when I went along and it like kept going, the last second I tried to get it all in one shot, it would like jump up a little bit and throw off the smoothness of the whole thing. I do a fair amount of hunting with showing the firearms. Firearms screw up monetization. That is a hard question. I do the hunting with the air rifle. I don't. And I've managed to build channel authority. And Joe Robinette and I actually talked about this. Like, he's like, I can't even get away with gutting a fish. And like, how do you get away with shooting, pigeons and showing the kill shot of them being all like, and falling back? And it's like, I don't show. There's certain things you're not allowed to show, and you won't get, if you'll get demonetized. But also, it's like building my channel authority. I have so many people that have watched me hunt and kill things, and I've shown them that I can be trusted. I'm not going to show gutting, and I'm not going to show blood and guts. I'm not going to show abusing the animal. I'm not going to show the animal in its death throes. And because of that, even when I did get complaints, it didn't really destroy the video. It was like complaints that weren't legitimate. They were like, oh, you're a beast. You killed a turtle and ate a turtle in Texas. Oh, horrible person, and stuff. It actually kind of made the video go right along, because they do record, and that's when they will flag you, is either, if they see it or something that's too gory, and or if somebody says, this is disgusting, this shouldn't be on YouTube, then they're like, you'll end up demonetized, and if you're demonetized, then your video goes nowhere. So if you're going to do something like that, you want to slowly build into it, I would say. But you could look at like Tim Wells. It's not impossible. Like Tim Wells, he kills everything, and he shows them, going down after the shot briefly, but he doesn't show them just laying there and kicking it out. Usually, I don't think he does. And just like in its death throes, because that's the kind of stuff that people would say, oh, that was so inhumane and stuff. So definitely, though, do not put danger. Maybe don't watch this if you like fluffy bunnies and then go shoot a fluffy bunny, because as soon as you say, gruesome content or something, or content that animals are being killed or something, anything that just basically puts it in their mind to go and rebel against it. They might not even watch the rest of the video. They'll be like, I'm not going to watch it, and I'm going to report this guy. And they don't even know that you didn't show anything that was inhumane or unfair for the animal. I have vegetarians that watch my stuff and be like, I have no idea why I just watched you dispatch and cook a bunny. But man, that I always call them bunnies. That's probably what comes close to getting me in more trouble than anything else, instead of a rabbit. But they're like, man, that rabbit you made just looked so good, and you were enjoying it so much. I just loved your video. I'm a vegetarian, but I watched you cook a turkey, and it was like, oh, that was so good. So you build the channel authority around it. Don't make it about the firearms. Don't make it about that. Make it about the adventure. Have that stuff in there. And, if you're going to do a deer, you shoot a deer. You should get the footage of the deer coming, romanticize it, take the shot and watch it drop or something, and then go black, and then go over to it, and be like, and don't show the gutting, and be like, this turned out such an awesome hunt. What a beautiful animal. And then go and cook something from it, and be like, I'm going to dress it all out my own. There's an unlisted link below if you want to see me dress it out. Don't, or gut it and stuff. Unlisted link that is set for 18 or over, and not monetized. And you can show all your stuff there. People complain until they're blue in the face, but it won't hurt your actual video from above. So show it just basically like they do on TV. Sorry, that was a long explanation for all of that. And but that's a big concern for people. It's like, it's very disappointing for those of us that have been raised indoor, have a long life of living off of game and things that we've harvested ourselves, and you want to be able to share that with the younger generation, and they want to be able to see it. I mean, some of our most popular videos are, almost all my most popular videos are like some form of catch and cook is involved in it. And it's just, it's an important part of the video to have to leave out certain bits. Won't hurt your viewers, and if they really want to know more about it, then they'll go and watch that part of it. Let me look at last week's videos to the comments of last week's video where there's some questions. I see. Anybody else have another question before we open up those 4 channels? Take a peek at those and go over them. I don't just see any question marks. If you leave questions and you want me to get to them, I'm not a good reader, so it takes me a while with the whole reading thing. So if you leave a giant statement and it doesn't have a big double question mark at the beginning and the end that you want me to answer in a video, then I'm not going to, I might not be able to get into it. There's just, so leave it with like a little, making it so it's easier for me to pick you out all the time, because I don't read all the comments. I can't keep up with it all. I had a question for the last week in the post. Kit Zero, I saw that. You said that you had a question for last week. Drop your question right here so we can get to answer it. I apologize. I didn't see it there. Maybe I scrolled the wrong direction. I do a fair amount. Oh, I already read that. So we'll open up the other channels here, and we'll start going over your channels. And Kit Zero, you leave your question, and we'll go right back to your question as soon as I look back over and see it there. Get rid of that politician and flip it to our little picture-in-picture thing here. All right, so Rocky Mountain Wanderer, we already mentioned his name. It's unique enough that it's nice, and at the same time, that whole, when we talked about these other guys here, Nick Nyman and Peter McKinnon locking their names in, it might almost be like, whatever his name is, last name, something, that you bring some power and authority to your thing. So-and-so, Rocky Mountain Wanderer, might actually play better, because that way people remember you there, and they also remember you. And also, it's like you got your bubble here, and it's got the horse, but there's nothing he has nothing for that so far in his videos. There's some just beautiful cruising around on the snowboard videos. My apologies if I'm critiquing your channel a little bit to give you some tips. And are you there? Oh, you are. No, not me first. I'm not saying you got to change your name or anything like that. We're just talking about possibilities. And the snowboarding, I watched one of the snowboarding videos. I haven't snowboarded much in years. Beautiful, but the same feeling I got from watching all of your guys' channels today is missing the B-roll. And we'll do a whole video on that, a whole one of these classes on that coming up as we get into video like layout. But it's like beautiful snowboarding along, but what would break it up and make it a little more interesting so you could skip past some of the boringer segments of snowboarding down the hill and just try to get your most epic things, and not utilizing the GoPro, is some of those B-roll shots, handing the GoPro off and sticking it in the snow and carving past it and blasting some snow onto it. Having the somebody snowboard down a little ways ahead, and then it's like in the tree and you see the snowy branch in front of you, and you're zipping past it, and bumping into it, and the camera's falling out of the tree, like just that activity, that brings the activity out of the whole thing. It's on your head, and or it's on your hand, and you're pushing through some branches as you go to take a cut through and get in front of a friend. All those things, like, take advantage of those GoPros. I mean, and also one thing I did notice, not saying that you didn't do a great job, I've got into the feeling like I want to go back out snowboarding just watching it. But the horizon line, try to keep the horizon line. There's an awful lot of the snow. And if you want to make a snowboarding video, it's like seeing the mountains and out there. So instead of looking down the mountain, mess around with trying to keep it um, flat, because the GoPro, the way it's warped, you'll be able to see the snow anyways. It is cool to see the top of the board, but if you're going to do that, then maybe have it on the stick and have it down low so that you can see the top of the board and the carving. And make sure you get some of those turning it back around and have the wand out in front of you and it's showing your carving and fluffing out the snow. All of that will bring like the life out of your video, and you could change the whole thing into like this whole new thing, and everybody's like, whoa, that's crazy, within like just one video. Because and GoPros are great for movement, with like your movement cuts. You watch a video on whip cuts, you guys, you'll fall down the rabbit hole and have so much fun. That's a little hack secret there, that my throwing the shovel at the hand on the thing is a whip cut. And learn how to do whip cuts, up, down, left, right, and you can make it look like your whole video is filmed in one take, because the motion blur, and you lose the blur. On the GoPro, you have to do it fairly fast to get the motion blur, and you don't almost exaggerate it. So you could be filming snowboarding down the mountain like this, and then but just have the GoPro in your hand, and then go like this down, and then reset and take the camera and film down like that, and just whip it down again and film your feet snowboarding. And even if it was just a little further down the trail or on a steeper spot for some reason, and to progress the story, and then you whip it back up, and then later you find the spot where you want to whip it back up on the beautiful shot, and you whip it back up on a shot, and your buddy's floofing over a jump, and then you go to follow him, and then you accelerate that camera to the left, and then you put it in front of yourself, and you accelerate that camera to the left back onto you, and like cruising along, and all of a sudden your shot's not just one long thing. It's this whole segment of spacings, even with that you can put some beats to the music to, and line things up a little bit, and just like you bring the person more into the moment. That GoPro, bringing that down and getting that snow carved onto it, being able to see out and around to the mountains around you is so important. That scenery. It's one thing I always tell Greg a lot. It's like, dude, shine that camera around. Show us where you are. Get that B-roll. And he gets the animal B-rolls, but at the same time, it's like, this is the Rockies. We need to see, that's where the drone footage brought our 30-day survival, can't even say it, our 30-day survival challenge to life, because that drone footage, it was like, it gave you the chance to see what was going on all up and around you. So, yeehaw, that's, looks like the camera's battery's going to die. But if it does click off for a second, I'll switch it to the computer's lens. It won't be as good a quality. I haven't gotten a way to plug the USR in permanently. All right, let's go back up here and see. Some really good tips. B-roll versus intro, like just a log with music. B-roll is just shots. They can be just still shots or slow moving shots, or shots that you're going to end up turning and speeding up into a time lapse. And like then the rest of them I would consider to be, maybe it's not proper lingo, it's like your story shots. Either you talking, you're building a story. I'll watch Peter McKinnon on some of those. He's got a couple of them that were like some challenges that he put out, and it was like a B-roll challenge one, and another one that was like a try to make something kind of snappy for some reason. I can't remember what he called it. I think there was a thing to it, but it was all like they do in the movies sometimes, like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, I think, did that a lot, when he goes, it's like the scene I always think of when I'm trying to make some of these little fast montages. There's a name for it, and he's just like, he's buying the diamond, and then he's like on the plane, and then he's like, and the plane's like, and then he's sipping down his drink, and then he's like, bring it, and it's like snap, 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 so fast, and stuff like that at the beginning of your whether it's getting a gun ready like I do with the air rifle, and it's like click, 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 open it up, put it on the silencer, loading up the cartridge, putting the bullets in, and load, ready to go, walk away. All right, guys, wow, that video and that montage is my most, during that 30-day survival challenge, the pigeon hunt, boom, 1 million views, because that first part of that montage just, you're so sucked in, it doesn't even matter what happens to the rest of the video. It was like it started to autoplay on people's phones, and they're like, oh, that's just sick. If you can accomplish that, it matches your cover photo and your story. Get 0. I do fair. I'm back all the way up that way again. I guess we're ready to go. Using Hollywood movie clips in your videos. How long can they could be 2 seconds long or 20 seconds long. I try to only ever use I guess 30 seconds is kind of the close thing, but at the same time I've been nailed for having like Hollywood clips in my videos by Disney, and they don't let it go. You say it's fair use, you say, hey, this is, it's fair game, and they're like, yeah, I don't care, we're taking the revenue from your video. So I had to like either decide to let them have the revenue and keep the integrity of my musical montage. There's one clip, it was just about cheese, and it was like this teen singing about cheese, and I had this whole montage of cheese, how wonderful cheese is, and stuff during the 30-day survival challenge, or something. And it was like, in the end, I actually just cut it out, and it messed up a whole bunch of stuff. But it was like, I basically would have been giving him, a lot of money. And I was like, I like my art, but I don't know if I like it that much that I want to give Disney any more money than they already have. So your best bet for doing clips like that, though, is as long as you have editing software. I have never been nailed for one that I move into the upper timeline, adding a black space below it, and then cropping it in by some small percent. I always get away with it. And if it's not from the direct party itself, if it's not from Disney's YouTube video, it's like it's not as easily going to be picked up. It would have to almost be reported to be picked up. Otherwise, if it's straight out of a clip from a Disney, from Disney YouTube, and you've got a downloader that allows you to, they see that and they're like, oh, we want that money from that. That's our video. That we owns it. We owns everything, says Disney. So you be careful. And if you look up how to use clips from other people's videos, there's some other people that talk about it. There's Jared Frono's Photo uses tons of clips, but they're all like punctuation clips. He says something and like somebody's like, that's questionable. It's just a clip from a movie. It's short, it's quick, and I don't think any of them are all that long. Maybe the longest one is 2 seconds or something. Any strategy for more views and clicks, Fowler? That's a huge question, but that's what we're working on. Everything that you learn here, suggestions is everything that you learn here and start doing to your stuff is going to help you with more views and clicks. But mainly that's your cover photo. You need something that tells a story of what you're doing, and that story to be as epic as possible and as consistent with what you've normally put out, so that your viewers, are willing to watch it. If I switch and I did, I don't know, just straight up kitchen cooking, like they probably wouldn't watch unless I was dressed up like Martha Stewart and I called myself the bearded Martha Stewart bushcraft cooking show or something. Mr. Stewart's bushcraft cooking in Martha's kitchen, and it looked like that in the cover photo. Even then it might not do well, because it's like you got to stay in your lane until you've made it. Then you got to stay in your lane or suffer the consequences. And I'm always suffering the consequences. So I could tell you from, look at my videos. Like some of them only have like 20-something thousand views recently. Whereas I'm it got into a rhythm of getting a consistent 100,000 views and 300,000 views at times, and then all of a sudden, because I didn't stay in my lane. All right, next channel we got the Guitar Slinger's Kitchen. Guitar Slinger's Kitchen. I mean, it's different. It's to not be copying everybody else. I would say your cover picture, maybe don't take your own picture of food that you've done and use that. Get like a nice professionally edited photo and just steal it and use that for that. And then put your something across there. Because food is very, unless you take a lot of time into it, pictures of food is not helpful at times. It's like you remember the old drive-ins? You ever go there and you look, like they're showing pictures of pizza and stuff? It was like that never looked appetizing to me. It's like pictures of food, like you see it and you're able to see and remember how it tasted. But to other people, unless you really nail that food science of a photo, it looks like I don't want to be mean. It's not bad, because I see that and I see that. I'd be like, now that's something I almost looks like I could eat like every day of the week for a month or two before I got sick of it. It's beautiful, But at the same time, it's like I'm looking at and realizing what's in there, not at the photo quality of it, which says to me, it looks. It doesn't look so appetizing, and that's what you're trying to sell. It's appetizing. Whether you're cooking or not, you're trying to sell appetizing, right? And I loved your video. That was great. Shout out for the Wadobo. Thank you very much. And that's I saw with your channel trailer. It is super well built channel trailer. You guys, when you build your channel trailers, put together 1 minute long. That was perfect. But it's pictures of food. And I think pictures of food don't actually look nearly as good as video clips of food. Just there's something about a picture, like a video clip, it's a video clip and you expect it to be a little, different and stuff. Whereas a picture, it tends to make things look slimier and greasier and I try to take pictures of my food for Instagram all the time, and then I'm just like, no, I'm not sharing that. That's not appealing. It just, it doesn't. I turn on all the lights and hold this that way and everything, and in the end, it's like, at least a moving clip. You don't have time to focus in on that. You get the focus on it, but it looks good. So I would focus on, check out some Peter McKinnon's on upping your picture game for food, because literally, even if you made the worst video ever on food, if you had a beautiful food thumbnails, then that's probably one of the most common things that doesn't matter who you are. That's very clickable. Food and recipes and unique recipes. If you can nail pictures of your food in those thumbnails, that it'll sell your videos, and you'll have a chance at, having 300 subscribers and getting 1 million views. So, I'd try to move away from the color of lettering, and especially since you're about food stuff, drop all the words and just get those food pictures looking better, a little less busy, and because if you look at your popular uploads here, you can see a trend, right? I'm looking. Can I even bring those up high enough? Apparently, why don't they go? I guess that's the bottom of the. Maybe I shrink the page up. Does that bring it up? There we go. Now you guys can see it too. So. Check out his popular uploads. It's just a narrow focus on food with white letters, and boom, 14K, 14K, 14K. That's your success as much as possible. And imagine if those were really like, 50% better photos, like professionally looking photos. Those might be, 100K, stuff like that. So boom, just narrow focus. The steak, if that was turned to the side just a touch, turned to the side so it just took up the whole photo, and that's all it is beautifully, like perfectly cooked steak that's just like, all red and juicy, and just as much, maybe like the first couple slices are in focus and then the other ones kind of blur out in the background. You know what? I have a channel for you to watch. Guitar Slinger's Kitchen here. You need to watch sous vide everything, and just, I would say, copy some of the stuff he does, like make compound butters, copy some of the same exact titles and thumbnails, do your own take on it, have some fun with it, and not thumbnails, but like check out some of those creative things he does with cooking, and then implement, some of those cool shots that he does and stuff like that as you build out your channel. Really great start though. Got some great views here on these popular uploads. Just it's like really good stuff. If you're gonna switch back to guitar stuff at times, try to or other things, try to always make it as much as possible around the food focus, and then just throw that in with it so that they're stuck with it once they're on the video, so that way you don't throw off your own momentum. Like, I mean, look at this one. This like that whole apple and slices and caramel, the bacon up close. It's just, I just think those are great. So I work backwards towards that kind of stuff. Wadobo could be like the wadobo and a steak, that sprinkled across that. I can guarantee, like, you got more views with adobo, but imagine if you had the wadobo with that steak all sliced red, and it was just the container of that, or this taco up here was like a wadobo barbecue, and it was just that taco in focus and all that toppings just beautiful on it, and then the wadobo sitting next to it, and it's like on a little wooden board. It's making me hungry just thinking about it. As far as your content, I don't see any. I don't really even have any tips for you right there, or I didn't see anything that was, just like anybody else, we got to grow and learn and continue to make our content better. It was looking great. So, and then let's see, review guy, Common Family Survival. Explanatory, very common, Common Family Survival. Fairly well put together title, I guess. That's always a good little bubble, is just to have it like you being the bubble, and as close as possible, and like filling out the bubble appropriately. That looks good. A lot of times people, if you go logo wise and it's too small and there's too much happening, I mean, look at this here as we're talking in the comments. You see the other guy's comments, and there are some of these thumbnails. Your little bubbles. I didn't say that anything about Guitar Singer's Kitchen here, but it's like I see your little thumbnail as you were talking and stuff, and I can't tell at all what it is, unfortunately. Guitar Slinger's Kitchen. So maybe coming up with a little logo that stands out, that fills that bubble, and so even in its smallest state on a phone, when that notification comes through from YouTube without them even having to read it, they see it and they go, ooh, yeah, all right, and they click on it. So there's no question as to who it is. I would say for Common Family Survival, great having that survival in there. Family, great, because you're like, oh, family guy looking for survival tips on gear purchases. Perfect. I see his tags here. They are clean, exactly about what he's doing. I would look at combining more of your tags, That's something you guys should do when you build your channel tags. So if you have survival, so have bushcraft survival, survival camping, survival outdoors, survival, use up every single one of those tags you could possibly use. Look up other channels. If you have TubeBuddy, you're able to look them up and you can see what their tags are like we are now and copy them. So you could go on to somebody else who's popular that does close to the same thing as you do, like Chris Thorne, and copy his tags just like this. Boom, click, copy, bring them over here and paste those along with yours. And so that maybe, maybe it makes people easier to find you. And maybe you end up, because you're so similar in certain instances, when he does a video about something and you end up doing a video about something, somebody that gets hundreds of thousands of views, you're suggested right after them because you have the same title, thumbnail. You're both keyed for survival, and your video started to do well when you launched it, so they stick you right behind. It should be pretty good. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I feel like I don't want to be too critical, but I mean, that's what we are here to do. So let me say, I really, everything we've looked at so far and everything you guys are doing is really great. It shows effort. It shows that you're doing great with what you already have for knowledge. And I don't see anything that makes me think that I would want to, even if I was brutally honest, be like, you should don't quit your day job. Well, I mean, obviously don't quit your day job yet, but I mean, I don't see any reason why you couldn't keep doing what you're doing and make more of it and bring joy to people. All right. So, the thumbnails with all this stuff, pretty busy, too busy. Don't worry about putting your branding in the corner. If you're going to be in the picture each time, you are the branding. You put yourself up here in the little bubble, and you are the branding. You don't need a little thing in the corner as your little logo. And I would stick with a picture says 1,000 words once again. The Viking whetstone one here I watched, and that was when I got to thinking about this. Like, it feels like a lot of you guys are missing is the B-roll. So he's got his Viking whetstone, could have been a small words in the corner up here and taken this area up. I don't see anything wrong with the way you're laying out those thumbnails, that background like that. It makes them pop. Those letters are great. That's all great, but don't put it in front of yourself. Hold that Viking whetstone up and show what it is by having a knife on top of it, lapping it out. A lot of times, putting ourselves in the photos, unless you are somebody, so it can go both ways. It can lose you audience because you're in it like that, and it's not just about. It makes it feel like it's more than just about the gear. It's about you showing the gear, and some people just want to see the gear, and they're fooled into watching the video just about the gear. If it's just a romantic picture of the piece of gear, for instance, people have built their whole channels on that, and they're super famous themselves. But it's like Ace Video. It's like his best videos are like just a sandwich bun with a frog between it, or the spices he's going to use, and the pan and all of that set up romantically is not him sporting things. Not saying don't do that. I'm just saying make sure that is the more important thing. By changing your depth of field on your shots so that you end up being a little bit blurred out, and say the Viking whetstone was held up close to the camera, and you and you're lapping a knife out on it or something, kind of an awkward way, but it's taking up the majority of the frame. It would tell more of the story, because pictures tell a better story. And calling it Viking whetstone necklace review, maybe calling it knife sharpening necklace, trying to key on that gadgety uniqueness. Trying to always be thinking of the most viral thing instead of just stating what the thing is, but also making sure that you state what it is the way the seller states it as much as possible, so that if people are looking for it, and then when in your video, let's see if he did, have your tags, he did, and it's very good. Your tags here: whetstone, bushcraft, camping, knives, bushcraft, camping, those weren't in your title, so they're not gonna mean much. What's gonna allow you to rank for those, and it apparently, so search rankings, you ranked right there because of TubeBuddy. We're able to see it. You ranked right there for Viking Whetstone necklace number 16. That's cool, but it's not all that helpful. You want to rank in the top 5 or top 10, because literally when you scroll on YouTube, you go through, when somebody searches something, you scroll through the first 5, and then they suggest a bunch of other similar stuff. And then you literally have to click, I think maybe after the first 5 or 10, to see the more you get to number 16 for somebody to choose to watch your video on the subject that because they want to know about the Viking Whetstone necklace, and that's the only way your video will come up is if they type in Viking Whetstone necklace. So, and then optimizing those. So you got Viking Whetstone necklace, and then you should have also Wazoo Viking Whetstone necklace, Wazoo knife sharpener, Wazoo Viking Whetstone. I already say that. Wazoo gadgets, Wazoo, stone, whetstone, knife sharpener, just as many of those different things as you can possibly drop in there. And then if you have TubeBuddy, you're able to see those ranks show up, and so you're having all those words there match your title and match your description. So, so reading your description should be, today we're going to look at the Wazoo Viking Whetstone necklace, and its viability as a knife sharpener, and should you get it, or is it just another gadget that the unique crafters at Wazoo are trying to shove down your throat. It's one of my favorite things is Wazoo stuff. So it's like, but you know what I mean? You're telling a story in here, and you're trying to key as many of those words as your title, description, and tags all matching, especially those first 100 words in your title matching, through the whole thing. That's for all of you guys. When I'm talking about him, it's like this should be your biggest notes right there, is those things matching will give you the channel authority, and matching your channel and your channel title, all three, consistently matching up, will put you in those higher ranking numbers. Because if you rank number 1 for something that's very searchable, because you do a good job of it, like those first couple people who had like no views, but they got the fidget spinners out, and they had a good title description, keys, and they made a whole channel about, fidget spinners. It was a short-lived thing like Beanie Babies, but they were able to be like, zing, 1 million views here and there, right to the top. And there's no reason why, because of the YouTube algorithm, you guys can't do that as well with a properly keyed thing. And then the only thing I thought of when I watched a couple of your videos is, so your box gear review, you went over everything, you unbox it. I would speed something like that up, speed it right up, and like kind of reveal all the stuff, and be like, now that we've gone through it all, let's take a deeper dive at what each of these things are. So now that you've unboxed it, you can turn off the camera, go and look each one of those items up, find out exactly what they are, read some reviews on it, and bring up points that everybody else hasn't been able to. And then you could go back and pick out 3 or 4 of the most important things out of that, all those things that you just unboxed for everybody, and you got an unboxing that's a more unique experience than a lot of the other people, because they are just guessing at what's in the box, and once they open it, they're like opening, or even if you did look at it before, try to find like 3 unique things, so that way you bust through it for the people that are only going to watch 30% anyways. You bust through it and you give them everything they want, so the next time they know they can trust you to get the story out there, finish what they, oops, I lost my side camera. Capture number 2. There we go. We got onto the webcam. That's cool. And switch. So there we go. And then when you're done with everything and you've unboxed everything, take a moment to lay it all out and get that B-rolls to cut away to. Like you bring something out. I use 2 different cameras, and that's a lot of pain in the neck to edit. There's no reason why you can't, after you've already unboxed everything, just put it back in the box and kind of pull it out in the same order-ish and just kind of show it to a camera shining down on it and get that good focus. And so when you're talking about it and you're revealing it for the first time, you go to a close-up, and as clean a close-up as possible, and it just is just over. It's lit, that's all you're seeing while you're still hearing that same talking that you managed to film in one go. And then you just, all of a sudden, you've really you brought the camera in close, you revealed the nature of the item that you're showing off in a way that others haven't. So that same thing with the whetstone necklace. You go and review it, talk about it, show it off, and then go hang it on a tree branch and just film going down it slowly, and then back up it slowly. And because you're talking about the knot that's in it, and then you could have cut to that B-roll shot of the knot, and or like your hands, just in the best, cleanest shot possible, opening in that sliding knot, and then placing it around your neck and showing how convenient that is, and really showing off, selling the product, making the product the hero. Because that's the thing, and later on that will get you, Wazoo being like, hey, we got a whole box of stuff we're going to send you, because you did such a great job showing off our stuff. We really appreciate that. It makes you stand out. Don't, when you guys are small, go asking for stuff from people until you've proved your viability, though. Not saying that he does that or anything like that, but that's one thing people do is they go start begging for things, and it's very off-putting to brands. But if you've shown that you can do it, then you get all kinds of. So let me see if there's any questions here, and we move on to our next person. Excellent advice. Thank you. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you guys don't take this too hard, like, oh, we're going to go and turn this off and go and be really sad that, man, he's such a jerk, because it was a very clean episode of each thing that you showed. It was very knowledgeable. I could see that you took the time to put the notes off to the side or something, it looked like, so that you're reading and you gave a very concise explanation. My recommendation, but put the notes, if you guys do, I think that's what he did. I can't remember now, but was it off to the side? But putting it just under the lens, if you put it on top, it looks like you're looking. Liars look up and to the left or to the right or something like that, and subconsciously maybe we're not all Sherlock Holmes and we do that, but looking down can be thoughtful, I think. So looking down to read some notes that are taped and hanging below your lens, if you're explaining things to people and you have some notes on it, is a lot more. And then that's where the B-roll comes in. So you got the B-roll and you're talking about the type of folding knife and the reason the metal that it's made out of. You look down to read those notes, and then you have that B-roll. You don't have yourself breaking eye contact and breaking looking at the product, and you look so slick when you're doing it that people, they become addicted to your little show. All right. And lastly for tonight, we got our adventures. Drew and Josie's adventures. Aren't they just the cutest? Enough to make you sick. No, I'm just teasing. These guys look like they're having so much fun. So that's addicting. That's the first right possible thing that you could be doing. Just being cute and having fun together. Sorry if I'm roasting you on that one. I don't even see them in here. They were in here earlier, so maybe he's going to come back later and watch and be embarrassed then. Switching. So, that was one other thing I wanted to say. Common Family Survival, great job with setting up a studio and background. The more stuff that you add to the background, it's unique that while you are talking, because after a couple of seconds, a lot of times people, if it's all one clip, they get bored. So if you got your B-rolls and then you also have your cool, unique backgrounds, that's people are looking there and they're trying to figure out what that thing is on the wall and what that thing says, and recognizing brands and feeling familiarity, and they see new things on the backs of your wall each time, and they're like, oh, that's cool, and it helps them identify with you, and brings a uniqueness to it. Oh, there they are. We're here. How should we go about getting music for our channel? YouTube has free music that you can use, but if you use that, it's already like overused a lot. I like Artlist. Any one of those pay ones, that's $200 for the year for Artlist. It's a big investment, but it's also the more you spend on music, the better you get. If you're gonna use like slightly electronic-y stuff, which is slightly more popular, Artlist is really great for you. If you're gonna use country-ish stuff, it's like there's some musics that we aren't as saturated with, and it may like make certain people feel like exiles. So you gotta be careful of that. And rock and roll, you don't want it to be too loud because that'll also make certain people feel like exiles and drop them out. So not using words is very important, I think, probably too, for the most part. And unless you're really good, you don't want to use a song with words because it needs to fit with it. Otherwise, it just pulls people out of the video and stuff. So I watched their video. They had a little adventure. They got their first thumbnail. It looks very intentional, but you see it didn't do as good, as ones that they put out a week ago. But then again, maybe they, at this point when you're still small and you got 21 subscribers, I don't know. That's a lot of views for 21 subscribers. So that's kudos to you. But that's a very tight, focused photo, which explains and shows exactly what's happening. I would say, work on getting those intentional shots. Like the Wooded Beardsman, all his first part of his career would just be down there and he'd like crouch in front of the camera. So try to copy what other people are doing that are doing adventure channels, what's hot, copying their titles and going out and having your adventure in a way so that you can just make your title about kind of what's hot. Like, when in the spring, trout fishing, fly fishing, that's what's hot. So, go and do the same thing, going after brookies in a tiny secret stream, and then turning that GoPro around and putting it on you and, and having the rod in your teeth, and then the fish is half in and out of the water, and you're holding that GoPro half in and out of the water so you can see the fish, below the water. You might even have to take 2 shots of it. Get the majority of the camera below the water, but keep that water line across your view screen, so that it's just at the top third. And then you got the fish, and you can see the fish underwater and that blurry line from the water where the whatever that call is, the water wicks up onto the camera. And then get another shot so it's, it's like your hand is a little bit further up out of the water and you can see the fish from here so it looks like it could match with the other one. You cut the two together because learning how to photo edit will make the difference. You get that romantic shot, and with 21 subscribers, it could be 100,000 views. You got the guy in the water kneeling, the fish half in and half out of the water. You see both parts of that half out in the water looking beautiful, and the fish, catching his breath before you let him go. It's just like the romantic of that is like, oh, and I had that feeling when I was watching you guys do your video. It was fairly well paced. I would be careful, or maybe speed up the pace a little bit at times, and then so be like, hey guys, there was a lot of hey guys, and you're talking to your viewers. So sometimes leave that out when you're doing the fishing and the action. Check out our campsite. This is our campsite, how we're doing it tonight, and then play around with those montages, get into the, you got your beautiful piles of sticks and you did all that, and you built your fire, and kind of like get around that, and then get back to this exact story of the adventure, like zip through a bit of it so they like feel like, it's like happening. Now, I would say the cover photo, I'm not sure what's going on there, and it feels like when I watch the video that if you had the fly rod in your, laying on your back of your neck like those fancy guys, and I saw that fish half in the water, even if that wasn't the best shot, it was just the fish half in the water, and you didn't have that underwater side of the whole thing. It was still, you're down at the river, you're fishing, and maybe your girlfriend, wife, I didn't catch that part of which one it was, but take advantage, or I don't want to say, don't get into the habit of like using her cuteness to try to sell your videos, but like sell your videos by the two of you having fun together as much as possible. And that's what sold it to me, watching you guys have your adventures. Like, you guys having fun together. She's catching fish, you're catching fish, or she was missed one a couple times, stuff like that. She caught one earlier on, and I like that you were explaining the pockets of water and how you were going about it to catch them. You didn't over-explain. Be careful, guys, not to over-explain. It's always better to show the adventure and inspire than just always aspire to being an authority on something and to talk people's ear off, and like I do. Like, not right now I do, but like not so much in my videos. Like, I get more complaints that like, show us more, explain what you did there. But if I do that, then y'all just walk away, because you say that's what you want, but you don't want that. You want to be entertained, and it's not entertaining to be, that's why we watch Walking Dead, whatever shows. I don't watch that one anymore. I don't know why I said that. We watch entertaining shows. Those shows get more views, entertaining shows, than documentaries do, because having a bit of explaining, a bit of adventure, a bit of montage, a bit of explaining, or a bit of showing, and then a bit of adventure. It's like, try to find that pace for yourself, and if you can bring that into the gear review, by the B-roll, if it's a knife, and then while you're talking, it's like you got with the cell phones, you get the slow-mos of cutting through a rope, or slicing through a phone book. Collect all the phone books up you can. You're slicing through a phone book, showing off some unique thing about the gear. It'll be huge. That'll be huge. And playing on the romanticism of your adventure. You guys are just like blowing up the cute across the top with the, what you guys are up to. I think that's really good, and it crops out decently. You always want to be, when you build one of these, download the template and put it into your photo editor. But definitely get the photo editor and work on that. I feel like I can't help but say, I just feel like this cover photo is just such a missed opportunity that in my own case, I would almost go back. I'm not saying you guys should, because you got the next time. I always just do better the next time. Sometimes you just gotta say enough's enough and move on. But like, a missed opportunity to show that romanticness of the adventure, like, if it could have been somehow with you holding the rod and she's releasing the fish, and it's like, wonderful. But doing great on the content, doing great, good start. And adventures, this may be the new thing. So maybe locking that into your title. Overnight camping adventure instead of trip. That way you got your title, the name of your thing. Or even like taking Josie on a camping adventure on the something river, things like that. Let's see, take a quick peek. How'd you do with your that'll be a video format and layout will have to be something we get into. Like I keep saying, like, epic moments, you actually do have a little thing here at the beginning, which is good, where you kind of like a little teaser for the trailer, channel trailer kind of thing. Get those epic moments. Don't be afraid to give too much away, almost to a degree, or if you got enough, give away a good bit. Got a description, good, and you got some keywords. But once again, I see that missing that chaining of the keywords. That's where you're gonna win, because you guys starting out, you'll never rank. I could be completely wrong about this, but you'll probably never rank now for anything like trout or brook. But if you were to have catch and cook brook trout on the something something river, and or catch and cook brook trout, you might rank for catch and cook brook trout and get your day. And if that cover photo is right, you might get your day in the sun, and that might be the time that you're linked behind maybe my catch and cook brook trout, from the 30-day survival challenge Rockies, and you get spillover views of 100,000 views all of a sudden. And you're like, what? And that's by optimizing all of that. And you can find that on looking up with these guys, Think Media, Nick Nyman, especially not that must be an ad or something. Trump and that was my own. I have not Peter McKinnon, the other guy. Oh, that whatever this was before I switched it. Daryl Eves. He talks about the optimizing titles and thumbnails and stuff like that. Daryl Eves. Check him out. And that pretty much does it for me. I'm running out. If you guys got any more questions, I'll answer them real quick. And then we'll all get on with our lives and hopefully make better, more interesting YouTube. And yeehaw. How should we go about getting... Oh, you already read that. Man, I am the king of reading things twice. You are... your knowledge with us, and that means a lot. You are welcome. Good stuff. What's a phone book? What's a phone book? Funny guy. You can still get phone books. If you want a phone book for doing silly things to, literally go to the post office and look in that bin where people throw away stuff. Phone books still come to post office boxes, and everybody with a post office box pretty much throws them away. So they're in those recycle bins at the post office, and they're great so if you're I don't know, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. If you're going to make something, you can glue them into epoxy board and make something from a phone book. People will be like, what's a phone book? And watch your video just to figure out what a phone book is and why you're turning it into a slingshot. I thought about doing that. I still haven't done that yet. But or making like a micarta handle for a knife out of a phone book. Yellow Pages micarta knife handle. Or you could, cut the phone book in half with a knife. Some people always seem to think that's like the coolest thing a knife could do. It's just like slicing through a whole phone book in an easy slice. Thank you for the advice. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm gonna call it here, and I need I think we've got a good start. You guys got a good start on your channels, and those of you thinking about preparing a new channel, and those of you that are doing a channel, think about, especially, you guys adventures, Drew and Josie, maybe, getting a couple more videos done, trying to come up with a slightly more like quick teasery bit at the beginning, montage, look into doing montages, how to do a really good montage, with whip cuts and stuff like that. So you can intentionally do that, especially with that GoPro. That was one thing I didn't mention. I felt like, not utilizing that GoPro. They got so many neat opportunities. It could be in the water looking up at you while you're fly fishing. It could have been underwater when you're releasing that fish. There's so many different ways to utilize that GoPro, and shine it around, show where you are, float it down the river on a piece of wood for a second, like just find a piece of wood or a piece of foam and float it past you while you're fishing towards it. Put it in the water, looking up towards you, but not in the water, but down close to the water, and cast towards it. All those things would make so beautiful little montages to start your video off with. You don't necessarily have to go crazy keeping them going. Can we email questions? I have a lot of questions I want to ask. Let's not. I don't know if I can keep up with it if I get the emails of questions. It's just a lot. Well, there's still a small group here. So if you guys have a series of questions you want to ask, make sure you put in the title and don't send it through the template on the website. Go and actually just send it to the email that it suggests there. So there's my email at Fowler's Makery and Mischief at Fowler at Fowler's Makery and Mischief. Send it to that, because if you send it in the template and you fill it out inside the form, is only allowed to have just so many characters, and it comes through with a form submission, and Brandon goes through those and will answer those to the best of his ability for purchases from the website and things like that. And so subject-wise, like more important emails sometimes get past me. So send me your questions. Leave the questions, which would be even better, is if you left the questions below this video once it ends, and we can chat amongst ourselves and put them into topics for the next video and or answer them then. How do you add channel tags? That's a great question, and that's one of those ones I would like, when we get to some of those like nitty-gritty details, you have the right way of saying it. Look up how to edit channel tags, but and check out Nick Nyman or best channel tags, how to do channel tags, and Daryl Eves would show a quick where you can find the channel tags. I don't believe I can open mine and just show you. I would need a completely different YouTube channel, so I can't without just dropping you on my homepage with all of my personal details. So check that out with those guys, and or you're asking it the right way, and if you ask YouTube that right way, it'll show you. And you can use TubeBuddy to optimize those channel tags is a great point. But mainly it's a matter of in your head, just think of all the different ways in which your channel represents, and you'll be using in the titles of your videos, in the title of your title, your name, your all that stuff, and just start laying those out in in singles and in series of 3 or so, and longer if that's where you think people might be searching for things, So I think that's a pretty successful second one. We're going to end it there, and I will see you guys in the next one. If you have YouTube Red, I would encourage you to get YouTube Red as you're trying to learn about all this stuff, because YouTube Red allows you to download videos and or listen to them with the sound off. So you could get YouTube Red and download this later and listen to this again back and forth on the way to work, or download Daryl Eves, or just listen to his stuff like a podcast about best practices for titles and descriptions and things like that, and how to rank higher on YouTube. That's a big one that you guys should be listening to stuff on, is how to rank your videos on YouTube. All these guys that I've mentioned tonight have some great videos on how to get ranked in the top 10 for stuff, which would mean that you have a chance at your video going pretty big, and always staying at the high side of search, which is a perennial video, is a separate thing from just going viral. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for spending this time with me and joining us. Wish you the best, and we will talk and hang out in the next one. Fowler out.